So welcome back. In this video, I'm going to introduce you to Dreamweaver. We're going to talk about how to define a site. What does that mean to define a site? We're going to talk a little bit about the interface, which is unfortunately a bit complicated just because Adobe keeps changing. So you may be working on a different interface than the one I'm working on. So I'll try to help you troubleshoot any interface issues. Then we're going to talk about how to create new web pages and how to link those pages up. Lastly, we're going to talk about how to upload your web pages to your public drive at Hudson Valley. Okay, so getting started here, I'm going to jump over to how I have Dreamweaver set up on my computer. So if you're working at the school computers, you're just going to go to the All Programs and you should be able to see Dreamweaver there. If you're working with the cloud at home, I have a little icon. You may have the same thing, and that shows me what products I have installed, and I can click on Dreamweaver right here. So I've already done a little bit of work to change the interface of the way Dreamweaver looks on my computer so that it looks the way it does, at least on the school computers, or the way it has in the past. I don't really like some of the new features. And I will take you through the steps of changing the interface so it looks similar to mine. But first, before we even worry about the interface, because we have to have things open here to talk about this interface, let's talk about defining a root folder, which is defining our site. So whenever you're working with the web, you want everything that is in your project or your website to be in one single folder. If things are outside that folder, it's just one folder that you're going to upload to your public space, to the web host, or in our case, to your public drive. So if that one image or that one file isn't in that folder, it's not going to be included in your website. So when we're working in any kind of making a website, you always want to be very organized and start off with actually making a folder. Not that exciting, but that really is the first step. So I'm going to open up my folders here, and I have a folder in my documents called Web Art and Design, and that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to put all of my folders from my practices. So I'm going to make a new folder, and I'll call this Dreamweaver Practice. So this folder is going to be my root folder. So the root folder I think of as that umbrella. Everything needs to be in that umbrella to be covered. So everything that I'm going to create is going to always be every image, any videos that I would be putting in, any PDFs, everything always goes into that root folder. Okay, so now I've done that. I haven't put anything in it. It's just empty, but I have it already here. Now when I'm over in Dreamweaver, I want to tell Dreamweaver where's that folder that I'm going to be storing everything and saving my files, because I can create new files, new HTML files directly here in Dreamweaver, and I want to make sure they're always saved in the correct folder. So the very first step I'm going to do in Dreamweaver, so this is your second step. First step is create a new folder. Second step is go up to Site, New Site. And for every site, we're going to have a root folder. And in this process of defining a site, we're also telling Dreamweaver where is our root folder. So the site name is something that only you see. It's just for your own, to be able to find your different practices. It's not something the public would ever see. So, but I am going to call it the same name, Dreamweaver Practice. I'm going to just put it Dreamweaver Practice 1, 2, just to show that this is not the same name as my folder. And this is the really important step. It says local site folder. If I just click OK at this point, Dreamweaver is actually going to make a folder for me, and I don't want it to do that because I already made the folder. I'm going to browse for my folder, which is in my Web Art and Design, and it's called Dreamweaver Practice, and now I'm going to hit Select Folder, and that's it. So my address should end with that folder that I'm going to make my root folder. That's really important, and hit Save. So now we can talk a little bit about the interface here, because you may have a look of your interface that's completely different. So I'm going to point out, if you're working on school computers, it may be the same, but I'm going to point out the couple of panels that I have open here, and then you may want to pause the video and try to work on your interface a little bit to get it to look like this. I am working in the design view. So when I first opened up Adobe Cloud, it was in the extract view. And that's not what I want. I want to switch it to the design view. I feel like I think I actually need to create a page so that we can start to talk about the views over here. I have panels. you should see your Files panel. I think if there's any panel that you don't see, go to Window and you can click it. So if for any reason you can't find your Files panel right now, go to Window and click on Files. So in the Files panel, you should see it says Site, and then if you hover over it, it's the name that you've given your site. So mine says Dreamweaver Practice 1, and then there's the address for the folder. I hover over it, where the folder that I'm saying to Dreamweaver, this is the folder where I'm going to store everything for my site. So let's create a new web page, and then we can continue talking about the interface. Most programs, to create a new page, you could go up to File, New. And you may notice I'm ignoring this little intro starter here, which sometimes works, but I really want you to get to know the interface, so I'm kind of skipping over it. But what's nice about it is if you wanted to pull up some recent files, you're going to get a list here of everything that you've had open recently. But other than that, let's just kind of ignore this for now. So the way I would like you to create new files is not by going up to File, New, but it's always going to be directly in the Files panel. I'm going to right-click on my site, and I'm going to choose New File. And it automatically puts a file in my folder. So if I go back over to my folders, it's going to be there, and I'll do that in a second. And it's the correct format. It's an HTML file. So a couple of words here. And if I say create a new file, a new Dreamweaver file, a new web page, a new HTML page, it's all the same thing. Okay, so this is called untitled.html, and automatically it's highlighted so I can rename it. And I'm going to call this actually Bistro Home, just kind of for the sake of changing the name. And that's my HTML page. If I wanted to rename that, I could use the keyboard shortcut on a PC, which is F2. Also notice that if I right-click on a file, that's where I see all of these different kinds of options of things I could do. And all of the things you might think that might be there immediately when you right-click are actually under Edit. So cut, copy, delete, duplicate, and rename, keyboard shortcut F2, are there under Edit. So just wanted to point that out. Now, how do I get this to open up? I'm going to double-click that file in my Files panel. Okay, so now I'm going to continue to talk about the interface. This is the way I like to look at the Dreamweaver interface because I've been using this program for 1.5 million years, and this is the way it traditionally looked. So if you want to work with it in another way, that's absolutely fine. So to get it to look like this, a couple of things I had to change. Under View, Toolbars, I am showing my Document toolbar, Standard, and Coding. So I had to make sure all of those were on. I changed my view to be split vertically. If not, it's going to be on top. The code will be on the top and the design will be on the bottom, and I don't like that. So I'm going to go back to to turn that off, or turn that on, sorry. I'm splitting it vertically. So this is going to be my design view, and what I'm going to have over here is my code view. So once you have all of those panels set up under View, under Toolbar, sorry, Document, Standard, Coding, and you're in the design view up over here, and you've changed it to be vertical setup, I think it should pretty much look the way that I have it here. But even if it doesn't, all of these same panels and windows are there in whatever your interface is. Once you get the interface the way you like it, you can save it. So if I go to Workspace Layout, I chose Save Current. So now every time I open up my design view, see I'm on design, it's going to save it like this. So just a couple more things I want to say about the interface, and then actually I'm going to stop this video and I'll do the other things I had listed at the beginning in another video, because this is already going on kind of long. So up here in what's called the Document toolbar, so if you don't see this, make sure under View, that's the toolbar Document. I have a couple of different views. I have the panel to click on for just Code View, and this is the way it looked when we were working in the Simple Editor. Split gives us Code and Design. So the Design view allows you to kind of just start typing in, adding images, and not worrying about the code immediately. And then you can go over into the Code view to work to sort of mark up things. That's how we're going to start. We're going to add some text here, and then we'll go over into the code view to mark it up. So the design view doesn't show you the code. The last thing is here, you may have it on by default on live view. So it won't look, we won't notice a difference right now because I don't have anything actually on my page. So there's nothing to show up in design view. But you're going to want this to be on design view. And if it's when you're ready to view how this is going to look on a web page, remember when we were working the last practice, we would save it and then we'd open up our HTML page in a browser to see how it actually looked. Well, in Dreamweaver, you don't have to do that. You can save it and preview it in a browser, and that's what these little icons are for, actually right here. And that's great because you should always view your pages in a couple of different browsers. But the live view is what's going to show you the way it's going to look in a browser. So everything will kind of may shift a little bit. But if you're in the live view, you can't edit. So if you ever find that you're over here and you're trying to click and it's not working, check to see if you're in live view. And so we want to switch it over to design. Okay, so once we start adding some stuff on the page here, then I'm going to start with the next video. Then I'll talk about the properties inspector down here and what some of these other panels are.